What's up, Trash Talkers? Here at Veteran Trash Talk, we actually vet our sponsors. We don't just take their money and run like a Butterbar lieutenant lost on a land nav course. Are you finally ready to plant your flag and claim your territory? Maybe it's time to use that VA loan to buy a home. Or hell, maybe you're looking to refinance and put some extra cash in your pocket for more questionable life decisions. Either way, the Veterans Mortgage Source, powered by Canopy Mortgage, has your six. Look, buying a home or refinancing can feel like getting overrun on a bad op. Chaotic, confusing, and full of obstacles that make no damn sense. That's where Corey and his team come in. They're like the QRF of home loans, ready to pull you out of the chaos and guide you to the best program for you. And trust me, they'll answer all your questions. Yeah, even the dumb ones. Whether you're a salty vet or fresh out of barracks still trying to figure out where your TA-50 went. Great service, solid rates, and a team that actually understands the military life. That's why all of us here at Veteran Trash Talk trust them to do right by every veteran in their family. Ready to lock it in? Give Corey a call or shoot him a text at 808-699-7874. That's 808-699-7874. Don't wait. Unless you like overpaying and getting treated like an FNG. The Veterans Mortgage Source is powered by Canopy Mortgage, LLC. All loans are subject to credit and property approval.
Hey, what's up, Mental Health Nation? Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Hey, Brian, thanks for tuning in. Sorry about the little bit late start. I would like to say that it was something going on with the weather out here in Italy or something, but I just totally spaced out about the hour difference. So we're starting a little bit late. I'm super excited to have Lance on here. We'll get to him in a second. It's really amazing what he's done since his service in the Marines or Navy. Which is it?
Navy. I did a very short stint in the Marines, but Navy, I did almost 20 years.
Yep. Okay. And so we'll get to him in a little bit. I'm checking for some reason I'm not showing across my social media, but maybe it'll start here in a little bit. Sometimes X has problems or slow. But hey, with that, hope he's having a great Wednesday super fun show. Super excited to be here. I've had a very, very busy couple of weeks. As you guys know, we are now housing here in Italy as we made the decision to stay after my wife retires next year. So we're super excited about that. So I'm excited. My 11-year-old is going to start the international school there at Lago Patria, so he'll start next year. So super excited about that. But hey, before we jump into all that, you guys see the little symbols up there around the screen? And if you scan the QR code to the left for Reads Across America, it's truly amazing with what they do during the holiday season to how to memorialize the veterans that have gone on to the other side. You can scan that for as little as $10, $15. You can donate. Super proud to be a part of them, but also scan and look at the website because you'd also personalize it. So you can personalize your wreath. I'm still associated with Arlington Cemetery. However, if they oversell Arlington Cemetery, obviously they scatter the extra money out all across the United States. But you can also pick which cemetery you want it to go to. So super glad to be a part of that. But as you know, and you should know, if you regularly watch the podcast, Reads Across America has a radio station. And so Reads Across America, I think this is the second year now with the radio station or radio show, I guess. But they replay my podcast at Fridays at 8 p.m. and Sundays at 10 p.m. It's super easy to find. Just download the iHeartRadio app, the TuneIn app, or the Odyssey app, and search for Reads Across America Radio for not only this great podcast, but all the great podcasts they have, all the great music. They do so many things for the veteran community, and I'm super happy and proud to be part of it. So please scan that QR code. It does help us keep with what we're doing. And, I talk a lot about 10th Mountain Whiskey and Spirit. Here in Italy, Lance, the Italians love 10th Mountain.
Nice.
Every time I go back to the States, I bring a little bit back with me, and they love the cordial, they love the bourbon, and so they always ask me when I'm going to go to the States so I can bring back 10th Mountain with them. Not how I'm doing, how things are going, but they just want me to bring that whiskey back. So, but please give them a look. See, we'll share the website. We'll share a QR code for you, save a little bit of money. But before I started yapping, you saw the video for Veterans Mortgage. They said the interest rates can stay the same right now, so hopefully they'll start dropping. But if you're thinking about refinancing or buying a house or using your VA mortgage, or maybe you just have questions about your existing mortgage, scan that QR code, and Veterans Mortgage, powered by Campy Mortgage, will be more than happy to answer any questions you have or any problems. They'll be able to help you out. But also, if you're still in the service and you get ready to PCS, I know in the Navy, I found this out being married to a Navy person, Lance, is
Mhm.
Navy PCS is any time of the year. The Army generally did it in the summertime or after school's
Oh
out.
yeah, no.
It's
Navy's
crazy.
pretty much PCSing constantly. Yes.
Constantly. I mean, there was like three weeks before Christmas, my neighbor down below got orders that he's going back to the States.
Yeah.
And it was like 6 months early, but I mean, I guess mission essential, I guess, or however
Mission
that.
dictates. Yeah.
Yeah. So the kids, instead of going to take their little, I think they're planning on going somewhere. They had to cancel the trips because the movies were showing up to take them back. So it's pretty crazy. Anyway, I say all that to say, hey, if you happen to be in the Navy or the Army or wherever service you're in, and you're being PCS, but you're going to Hawaii, PCS Paradise will be more than happy to help you out. You scan that QR code. They did help some of the family members out here in Italy to find their perfect dream home while they're stationed there in Hawaii. Well, it's kind of shame to go from Italy to Hawaii. That's not too bad. There's my neighbor lives across from me, Lance. He's going from here to Illinois. Yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
about that.
not so great, not so great. But hey, with that, I want to say thanks to all my sponsors, to everybody for tuning in. But also, I want to say, Lance, I started following you on social media, on TikTok a while back, and really got to know your story and what you do and all the things that you do. And so I want for you to spend a couple of minutes. I know we talked before the show to kind of introduce yourself to the audience. Tell us what you do. And then also there was an incident that happened that you want to talk about, and we'll dive into that right at the beginning. And then we'll just kind of go in there. No big girl. We look exactly the same as what I posted on the social media. That was not AI made. We're two buff guys. We're tough. But anyway, Lance, go ahead and introduce yourself.
So I'm Lance Price. I am one of the owners of We Are SFH Clothing and Apparel. We give 50% of our net proceeds back to nonprofits and individuals in need of a hand up instead of a handout. I also, as you had mentioned, recently became someone to listen to evidently on TikTok. I just started sharing my stories in the ways that I got through things, and people started listening. So I've continued to do it.
Yeah, I
Um,
started TikTok last year. End of 2024, I finally started TikTok.
I think I'm about 7 months in active.
Oh, okay.
We had a SFH page before I had a page, and Ty was the one that convinced me to get my own because I had some decent information to put out there, and that's how it happened.
Yeah, TikTok's a little bit of a different animal to kind of because with the algorithm and the rules and things, and it takes a minute to kind of learn how to do it. But I don't know if you saw the other day, and I have no idea why. I had my first video get over 100,000 views, which
All
was
right,
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, on TikTok. So I was
There
kind
you
of
go.
surprised by that. But it has no rhyme or reason. Like you
No,
post
none at
something,
all.
I think this is gonna be awesome. Really gonna help people, and it
It
gets
goes
like
nowhere.
200
It
views.
goes
Then like I
nowhere.
randomly make a video with I had my shirt off, but
The one that you're
I
like, "Oh, this one's going nowhere." Oh, I
yeah,
had one like that kinda took off, and I was like, "So they just wanna see skin? I'm so confused."
yeah.
I was
Yeah,
like,
no, show it to
"Nobody
me
wants
out,
to see
Billy.
this without a shirt, come on."
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. Just it was just a random thing. But I guess people kind of like the randomness of stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
So, I mean, just so that we can talk a little bit about Hawthorne before we get too much into the weeds, I'd like to kinda start a little bit before that. So from 2005 to 2014, I served as a senior line corpsman and later IDC for 4th MEB AT Battalion and 1st Battalion, 9th Marines, The Walking Dead. Multiple deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan with these guys. I helped unroll the covers for 1-9 and helped roll the covers for 1-9. So 1-9 is dear to my heart. We faced the horrors of war firsthand together, operating in places like Al Anbar province, in Baghdad, Diyala in Iraq, later Helmand province area of Afghanistan. Ended up earning a couple of combat action ribbons, Navy achievement medals. And, my encounters with IEDs and stuff like that was expected during those deployments.
Yeah.
And by the time I returned, I still probably survived multiple IEDs. We'll say multiple, each one taking a toll on my body and on my mind. In Afghanistan, I led medical efforts, like I said, in the Now district, ensuring survival of countless Marines and civilians under my care. But the traumatic loss of Marines in 2013, this day, 2013, deeply affected me and deeply affected hundreds of others. And that's what I wanted to talk about while we're here.
Absolutely.
And it amplified, and of course you can see why, the symptoms of my PTSD and TBI. Yeah, there are certain days in the Marine Corps that will stay for you. Well, there's certain days in our life period that will stay with you forever.
Yes.
This is definitely one of mine. And it's not because they're victories. It's not because they're heroic moments of any kind. It's because they changed so many lives of all the ones that are there and their loved ones. Like I said, March 18th, 2013, Hawthorne Army Depot in Nevada. I was the IDC for 1-9. That night, we lost 7 Marines in a training accident.
Mm-hmm.
Even now, 13 years later, people still ask that same question. How does something like that happen? You see, before Hawthorne, we had just came out of Bridgeport doing mountain warfare training, cold weather training. Anyone who's been there knows exactly the rigorous it is and what that means. Cold, snow, elevation, long movements, little sleep, the kind of training that breaks you down and builds you back up. What we're used to doing.
Yes.
And then after that evolution, we moved to Hawthorne to conduct live fire night attacks. Nothing different from what Marines do to prepare themselves for war. Pretty standard. I mean, it's how we prepare. Integrating mortars, maneuver elements, night elements, tucking mortars, and everything happening at night. But as you know, training like that always carries risk.
Yes.
And that night, the worst possible thing that could happen happened. During the mortar portion of our night exercises, a mortar tube was double loaded. 2 rounds went into the tube, in case you didn't know what that meant. The first one that was dropped, I'm not sure, I wasn't at the location. Either they assumed it went off, the second one was hit, and then basically what happens is you have an explosive within a ream of metal that sends a bunch of shrapnel out. Because mortars are designed so that when the round drops down the tube, it strikes the firing pin and launches. So the initial one that was put in, evidently the firing pin didn't detonate. When the second round goes into the tube that's already there, it creates that tube to just be a arsenal of shrapnel for anyone and everyone around it. And that's exactly what happened. The explosion tore through a mortar position like it was butter. 7 Marines were killed instantly. 8 more were wounded. One of my corpsmen holding his bottom of his jaw while he was pointing to other Marines to render aid to those that were hurt. if you've never been around something like that,
Yeah.
it's hard to explain what happens in those moments. There's chaos, there's medical personnel and noises that are not used to in combat related incidents. You have Marines and civilians yelling and trying to work together, and both on a different program. You have people trying to figure out what exactly is going on from different locations. But then it really sets in. The guys you were just joking with, the guys you just deployed with, and that you were just training with, those guys you shared the misery of the field and multiple deployments with, they're not getting up.
Yeah.
And that's a moment that's the moment that really never leaves you.
No.
Those 7 Marines died that night. They were young.
Yeah.
Had plenty of years left in the military. I only had a few more. But the reason why I wanted to make sure we talked about is they were also so much more than that. They were our friends. They were my brothers. And they were the kind of Marines every unit is proud to have.
Yeah.
And I can say that about every last one of them. But after something like that, investigations happen. People look at procedures, training, schedules, leadership decisions, everything. And those things matter because the military has to learn from tragedy, as
Yeah.
I think we all do. But the question that always lingers for the people who are there and still suffer is the same one that I've already asked once, and that's why.
Yeah.
Why did the layers of safety that's supposed to exist not stop what happened? Why did the conditions line up the way that they did to have so much tragedy? Why did 7 Marines have to pay that price during a training exercise? Training is supposed to prepare us for war. But sometimes, much like life, even training for something costs the preparation, shows up in a way that no one expects.
Yeah.
For those of us who were part of that battalion, Hawthorne is something we will carry with us and put together a bond that will never be broken
Absolutely.
because we lived through this together. Not just the loss, but the responsibility for us to remember those Marines and to carry on their names every day, to speak their names. That is something that we say often in the military: speak their names and they'll never be forgotten. And that's what I try to do. And that's why I try to help others now that I've got a grasp on my mental health, because I can tell you, if you're not healing, then you're going the wrong way, because we're all healing from something. I wanted to make sure that they're never reduced to just a line in a report about a training accident, because so many get lost that way.
Yeah.
People sometimes say Marines are brothers, and if you've worn the uniform and know, that's not just a saying. It's real. It's true. And when we lose Marines like that, the bond doesn't disappear. It just gets stronger. And a tragedy like that, I think many can learn from, not just veterans, but civilians alike. To remember them, but to honor them.
Yeah.
And to keep living the kind of lives that would make them proud of us. It took me so many years and so much therapy to get to that point.
Yeah.
And that's why I do the TikToks now, because I know that I never thought it was possible, but apparently it is, because I'm starting to feel it and I'm starting to learn it, and I live it every day now.
Yeah.
But it wasn't easy. It was a lot of therapy, and it was a lot of time that you have to commit to yourself, and it's a lot of pain.
Yeah. It's survivor's guilt is a rough thing to get over with, in dealing
Oh
with whether
yeah,
you're dealing with in training accidents. Of course, I was aviation for 34 years. Of course, I tried to unalive myself, and obviously I survived. Came as close as you can getting without completing as you can. So I understand the pain you feel when you internalize stuff too much, and when you think about it, and when you drive yourself down that road. And we talk about it a lot here on the podcast. Lance, you talk a lot. You just talked about it just now.
yeah,
Is you have to learn to think about the positives of the negative, but you have to also be willing to look at things that maybe aren't that great in your own life as you go through your therapy and recovery, because
absolutely.
it's not all rainbows and butterflies and all that when you're going through recovery. And you know this well as I do, Lance, is if you have past trauma before you even get to the trauma there, you don't get to
Right.
skip steps. You can't skip steps. You can try to, but it doesn't work. And
It just
I
puts
just
you in
want to
that downward spiral.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. And I just want to say that I know we talked about you coming on the show, wanted to kind of come on around this date. But I appreciate you talking what you're talking about, because I think it's so very important, because for so many veterans out there with, OEF and OIF, 9/11, of course, now with what's going on with the Iran war, a lot of these
Absolutely.
things can bring back a lot of memories. And, it was very important that you said, you know, we should remember them, and they shouldn't just be because of a training accident. They should remember them as a person, as a human being, as a Marine, as a soldier, as an airman, or whoever they are, a friend, a father, a mother, a sister. And we need to remember them as that. Just because they're not here in the present doesn't mean they're not here spiritually. And I think sometimes, I tell people all the time that it's okay to talk to them if they're not here. They're here with spirit. There's a reason why you're
Right.
thinking about them, and it could be completely
Right.
random. Oh, I'm out running at night. I do that a lot here in Italy. I'm an avid runner, and all of a sudden, I thought of somebody will pop into my head. It's probably because they were thinking about you, whether they're walking on this earth or
Hmm.
not. And it's okay to have that conversation with them. And I think
Yeah.
for some people,
Yeah.
they
You're
don't.
on that walk, and you're all of a sudden you're like, I hear you. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
I got you. I got you.
I mean, it seems kind of
Absolutely.
silly, but it isn't, because I think it's important.
But anyone that's lived a good 30 to 40 years at least at this point, they know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
They know exactly what you're talking about because they have had that loss and they've had those situations where those goosebumps come up and like, all
Hmm.
right, I see you. Just a reminder, I'm still here. That
Yeah.
type of deal. Speaking of still here, uh, as I moved on, uh, later in my career, went to work for a float training group, and mentoring corpsmen. Moments like Hawthorne were absolutely always in the back of my mind.
Hmm.
Um, but I used it to explain to everyone, and everyone can use it on their daily life. Is we do it. It's the reason why we train hard,
Hmm.
the reason why we evaluate procedures. It's the reason why we push medical teams to be ready for worst case scenarios on a moment's notice. It's because tragedies like that remind us how fast things can change.
Yeah. Hmm.
Preparation matters in military and in your own life. Training matters in military and in your own life. Leadership matters in both. And the people we lose deserve to know that we carried those lessons forward for them,
Hmm.
for that next generation, much like those 7 Marines that I lost. Uh, and they always will be with us if we do that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That brings up a good point, because, you know, sometimes we focus too much on the reason why or the bad and not the good. And I say that is 2009. If you know some of my story, I jumped in the water, saved three out of four fishermen. The boat got hit by a ship.
mhm,
And a couple of days later, I was pretty injured in trying to save them. But I'm not going to go deep into that. But what I wanted to say is I focused on the one that I didn't save and not the three that I did. you know. And I think for a lot of us who experience tragedy in our lives, if you are a survivor or something, whether you were injured or not, but you survived it, I think you carry that survivor's guilt, and that's a very hard thing to get over. And I carried that with 9/11. I was at the Pentagon. I spent many hours in there after the plane hit, and I just had that survivor's guilt. And even though my mind told me there was nothing I could do,
Nothing you could do.
nothing.
It's still there. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Um, Traumas after traumas. I mean, 7 combat deployments. Uh,
Mhm.
whew, I got to the point that at one point, anyone that I lost on my table was my fault, even though I did every doggone thing possible for doing it, and that puts you in one of those really, really dark holes, man.
Yeah.
um, that nobody really wants to be in. Another reason why I share my story and share some of the things that's helped me is because if I can keep somebody from getting that dark in the hole,
Yeah.
then I'm doing okay. At least one
Yeah.
person a day, then I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
Because my corpsman brothers and sisters at the float training group, which was my last command, they saw what was going on with me because they had deployed in their own life and in their
Mhm.
own career, and they knew that PTSD and TBI were taking a huge toll on me. They
Yeah.
assured that I had some of the greatest therapists available, and helped me work through some of the worst experiences that most could ever see.
Yeah.
But that transition, as you said, it's the transition itself is rough.
Yeah.
The struggle with PTSD, TBI, and now you have the feeling of isolation, that you're a burden. Um, and that's where you get to that point to where you're like, well, maybe I'm the problem.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we lose so many to their own hand, because between either not getting help or being over medicated in some sense,
Mhm.
they feel like a burden, or they feel like things would be better for everyone else if they're no longer here. I got that way. It sounds like you got that way to a point.
Oh, I was, yeah. I mean,
But
yeah.
I mean, and you could probably contest to, I've lost far more people to suicide than I did to war,
Hmm.
and that was 7 deployments.
Yeah. I
And
don't
then
go a week without somebody calling me, whether it's military
right,
related. I had a phone call today. A friend called me, and her one of her brothers, whatever, 26-year-old daughter,
our
unalived herself.
nation has a mental health problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
You see in
it's
Italy, it's the same
yeah,
thing, but here in Italy, there's a cultural. They're about 20 years behind the states here in Italy. There's still a big family cultural no-no when you go get mental health and ask for help that I'm seeing here, and it's a shame, really, because we've lost so
oh
many.
yeah, and I mean, depending on
It's,
what you've seen,
it's something that's so curable, but I get it, right? You get it. I
yeah,
get it, right? I got a
absolutely,
TBI with the clinic when I retired. The Intrepid Center there at Fort Belvoir. And it's tough because you do feel like a less of a person. You do feel like you're a burden. You do feel all these things, when in reality, it's not reality. It's your
right,
reality, but it's not reality.
right,
Your
right.
reality can take you down a road. And I talk about this.
It's those evil minions that you gotta
Yes.
kinda, like, flick away every time they come into your brain, because they're gonna come in there.
Oh
It's
yeah.
if you react to
And never when
them
things
or
are
if you
going good. They
choose.
come when things are going
Yes,
bad. They never come when
absolutely.
things are going good. And the one thing I talk this, and you talk about also, Lance, on your show, is the one thing we can control in this earth is our mind and our thoughts. But our
Yes,
mind and our thoughts control us. And it can take us down a rabbit hole that will make us want to unalive ourselves. It will take
yes.
us down a rabbit hole that make us fail in treatment. It'll make us fail in rehab. I always say
We are
this.
we are dirt, we're not worth it, we don't
Yes.
deserve
Yes.
it, blah, blah,
Hmm.
blah. Do not listen to those voices, please, people.
Yes.
They're
I
full
always,
of it.
it's important to remember that if you're sitting in the, like, it's dark behind me. If I shut my light off, it'd be dark behind me. Right? I
Right.
was lazy tonight and didn't set up my green screen. It's fine. You can see my house behind me.
No
But
worries.
if you're sitting in a room and you're having those intrusive thoughts, right? I get that. I've done that myself. Get up and leave the room, because your brain's going to reset some when you walk through a door frame. That's scientific. But also, sometimes just changing your environment and doing something very small can change your way of thinking in that moment. It could be go outside for a walk or go get on the PS5 or your Xbox and play video. Do something different than what you were doing while you were having these thoughts, because you have to stop that train, because that train eventually is going to wreck into something.
Yeah, because
And
I
you
mean,
just
like
need
you
to
said,
change it.
it'll end up to that one evening alone with
Mhm.
something in your hand and a plan. And that combination of the PTSD and the TBI playing tricks on you, leaving you hyper aware, that hyper vigilant, always on edge. You think that that's the only way to get silence, and that's not the answer. You just hurt so many. Because I did that. I knew who when I wanted to relax, when I first got out, we'd go listen to some music with some friends. But
Mhm.
instead of relaxing and listening, I posted up, my back up against the wall, my service dog by my side. I watched everywhere. I knew who probably had a weapon on them. I knew who was going to cause problems or had too much to drink. I knew where each exit was, how long it would take for me, my wife, my service dog to get out of there if anything popped off. It was honestly an exhausting way to live, and if you're living
It
that
is.
way, there is hope for you, and there is answers out there.
And the hardest thing I had to get over with, and it sounds so stupid, happiness brought me pain.
We
Because
do not.
anytime things were going good, I was waiting for the bad to happen. And so the
Absolutely.
more things were good, the worse I became. And it was my mindset. I was sabotaging my own
That
happiness.
other shoe has to drop,
Yeah.
right?
It's gonna
I
drop. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely,
And
absolutely.
and I think for a lot of people out there, it's like you say, if you're going through rehab or therapy and you hit a roadblock or something doesn't quite go right, or maybe like you talked today, or maybe it was serious, I don't remember, but your goals were you maybe too strong and need to scale them back a little bit, but don't quit. But
Right.
also, don't be afraid to go a different route. And if you're in
No,
rehab,
and
if
that
you're
may
in
be telling you that too. It may be telling you
yeah,
this isn't the route for you.
yeah.
Yeah,
So if you're always going this way straight, go left or right. That may
because
be the
healing is
answer.
not linear, people.
Yeah, no.
It
And I think
ain't
sometimes we
linear.
get that. And if you're in rehab and you have a relapse, right? You just have a new starting point
Yeah,
because you know what made you relapse. So now you know what to do the next time. And you know what? If it happens again, so what? You have your rest of your life to get over this. You don't have to get over with in 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. Don't arbitrarily set yourself up for failure by saying, I have to get over this problem in X amount of time. It's no time.
right.
And I think
So how did
sometimes
I
we do that.
and then, I mean, well, and people ask, "Well, how did you get to this point?" It wasn't
The
overnight,
process.
I'll
Yeah,
tell you that,
it's a
and
process.
it's thanks to my wife and having a support network of peers that I slowly began to find hope again and exploring alternative therapies that didn't make me feel like a zombie, like medical cannabis. But it wasn't until I received what's called the stellate ganglion block, which is a shot in the neck, an SGP shot in 2021, that I experienced the most significant breakthrough. Uh, and then I was determined getting out to help others. So I became involved with that organization that allowed it possible for me to get that shot for the love of the veteran. I led a state chapter for a year as a nonprofit with a few of my close friends before we decided, well, SFH was in the making at the time, um, and we went I went from being running a nonprofit to running a clothing and apparel brand, still with three of my closest friends. And okay, where are we going with this? What does SFH mean? It means still effing here.
Yeah,
We're
right here.
clothing and apparel brand. That's right.
I
We
still
are a
have it.
clo the pineapples. We are a clothing and apparel brand that embodies resilience and solidarity among all walks of life, not just veterans. Uh, Through We Are SFH, we have transformed our pain into purposes, And the purpose, haha, that was funny. Creating a community that celebrates survival and strength. The brand's mission reflects the shared struggles and triumphs of its owners, inspiring others to preserve despite life's challenges.
Mhm.
I'm here because people didn't give up on me. That's why I'm
Yeah.
here. I'm here because I made the hard choice to not give up on my family and to be here for them. That's
Yeah.
why I'm here. That's why we built SFH. We celebrate people like you who are too stubborn to give up, no
Mhm.
matter what life throws at us. And believe me, we've had plenty of opportunities. So we built it a community by public speaking, myself and Tyler. We have built a community of people who are ready, willing, and eager to be the right people at the right time in your life.
Yeah.
Because we know if we are that person for you, you can be the right person in someone else's life.
Yeah.
You just need a community of people who get it, who get you, and who've been through shit of addiction, trauma, war, or just plain life. And
Yeah.
that's what we're building with SFH.
Yeah. That's so important because obviously with what you do and with what I do, we never want anybody to go down the same path. You don't
Right.
have to be a veteran. You don't have to be in 6 degrees of separation, 7 degrees of separation, however you want to look at it. It all affects everybody,
Yes.
and doesn't matter what race you are, doesn't matter what color you are, doesn't matter your level of society, your wealth level. Mental health affects everybody, and it's so very important. With what you were talking about is something so simple too. You need to learn to laugh again.
Oh,
It,
yeah.
and
It-
I do silly
It's good
things
for
on
you. It
TikTok.
releases all kinds of great things. Let's
Yeah,
do it.
I made a silly video a while back of me dancing in the rain one night when I was running, and I was just being
Absolutely.
totally idiotic and silly. But that's what you have to be sometimes.
Yeah.
Just go be silly. Go be a kid again.
People thinks it's funny when you say, touch the grass. No, touch
Yeah,
the grass.
take your shoes off and walk around in the
Just
grass.
relax. Step
Yeah,
away from the
do some
electronics for a
grounding.
few.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
If what you've been doing isn't working, then do something different, and that's scary. And you know as well as I do.
And
But
healing
don't
is
be afraid of
scary.
it. And do little things. It doesn't have to be nothing big. I had a
Yeah.
doctor one time. Every time you go to the doctor for physical, they always ask you, "Well, how many drinks do you have a night?" Everybody
Oh, yeah.
lies.
Oh,
Everybody
yeah.
lies, right? And so this doctor, he was an older doctor. He was in private practice a long time. He was given back to the military, so he worked at one of the clinics there at Woodbridge I went to. And he had the best thing. He says, "How many drinks do you have a night?" I drink 4 drinks of whiskey a night. This is an example.
Mhm.
And he says, "Oh, okay." He says, "Have you ever thought about maybe having just 3 drinks a night?" He didn't tell me to quit.
Right?
He didn't lecture me. All he
Fair.
said was, "Could you maybe try to have one less drink a night?" And
Yeah.
I was like, "You know what? Maybe I could." And
Well,
I did.
that kind of goes back to something that we were talking about earlier and that I posted either today or a couple of days ago about those steps, that stride. If it's too wide, shorten your stride. Keep
Yeah.
moving forward, but shorten that stride so that you don't end up with growing pain.
And some days you drink one less, some days you don't. But
Right.
he stuck the thought in my head. And then the next year when I saw him,
Hmm.
he's like, "Oh, well, drink one drink less." And then it was, then after I started that for a while, not that I was never a heavy drinker, I was never a heavy drinker, but I like having a scotch at night. And I'm
Right.
so anal now, I measure about how much I drink. Not because I need
Oh,
to, and not
wow.
because I drink a lot. I just always think about him. I was like, "Oh, well, maybe I could have a little bit less, you know?
Fair.
And
Fair.
so you go from drinking, 2 beers a night to maybe 6 ounces of beer or something like that.
There
But
you go.
but that took years. But if I
Hmm.
still want to have more than drinks, I still have it. But what you're saying is it's okay to take little steps. It's okay to take big steps. It's okay to go back and forth as long as you're moving forward, just like you said, because then you're still up in the air.
Obstacles are gonna be put in our way. We are
Yeah.
going to slide backwards. It's how we react and how we choose to move forward past that because there's gonna be obstacles put in our way. And as we said a couple of times too, healing is not structurally straight up and down. It's not linear in any sense. My healing and your healing is going to be totally different because we're all different individuals.
I'm responding to Luke. He's got to get off, but he was just saying somebody out in the Pacific Northwest, looking for a network to hit him up. I'm going to ask him to share some of his contact, share some point of contact.
Nice.
So yeah, hey, good interaction today.
Yeah.
But hey, we're getting ready to close this up. We got about 5 minutes, because of the radio show. I'm limited to 45 minutes. But I mean, if we go over, we just make 2 shows out of it.
No worries.
But Lance, I want to go ahead and give you the last word, and then I'm going to close this out. You're more than welcome to come back on the show anytime. Super great having you on. We had a lot of good feedback. And so with that, I'll go ahead and let you say any final words you have. Please talk about any nonprofits, anything that you're doing. Make sure tell people how they can follow you on your social media with the Marine Doc on TikTok. I
Absolutely.
do follow you on Facebook, so you can reach him through my Facebook also and my TikTok. But go ahead, Lance. Tell everybody how to get a hold of you. Tell them a little
Yeah,
bit about
absolutely. Everyone can find us at We Are SFH on most social media platforms. Our website is
Sierra
wearesfh.com.
Foxtrot Hotel.
Correct.
I
And
said Sierra.
still effing here
Yeah,
because we all are. And as long as we are, we can still find hope. And you're never alone. And there's always someone in your corner. You just haven't found them yet. So keep reaching up. Someone's going to reach back down.
absolutely. Lance, I want to say thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate
Appreciate you having
everything
me.
that you've done since you've obviously got out of service, and then everything that you do on social media. I think it's so very important because true stories or personal stories resonate with people so much. And that's why podcasting has gotten so popular. And I just want to say, it's not easy to talk about things that are hard. I know talking about Hawthorne tonight wasn't probably the easiest thing for you, but it's also a healing thing.
It's
Um,
not, and it is, and that's one of the things that I speak very highly on is healing loudly because you never know when your healing can be a roadmap to someone
yeah,
else. So yeah, I just heal as loudly as possible and hope that the right people hear what's helped me and at least they'll point themselves in the right direction because we choose our suck, whether it's good or bad.
that's right. And hey, listen, if you and I'll get into this at the end, but I'll say it right now. If you are in that position that Lance talked about, be like Lance and find your way, find your path. Because we all deserve to have the happiest life that we have while we walk on this earth. Some of us didn't get that chance, but they did have a chance. But for whatever reason, it's just like a good friend of mine told me. Sometimes bad things happen to good people, and there's nothing you can do about it.
No.
But the best thing you can do about it is remember them in a way that honors them. And I think that's really what you do, Lance, and you do it very well. And that's so very important. But hey, with that, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Brian, thanks for your comments. Kevin, thanks for your comments. Everybody, thanks for your comments. Thanks for tuning in. But, just like I said early on, you can scan that QR code for Wreaths Across America. And for a little $10, $15, $20, you can donate a wreath during the holiday season to memorialize a veteran. So very important. You can donate one. You can put one into a special name of a family friend or somebody's gone on. Along with that, Wreaths Across America Radio replays my podcast at Fridays at 8 p.m. and Sundays at 10 p.m. Super easy to find. Just download the iHeartRadio app, the TuneIn app, or the Odyssey app, and search for Wreaths Across America Radio for not only this great podcast, but all the great podcasts they have. And you know what? I don't have any 10th Mountain Whiskey with me, but if I did, I have a drink tonight just to celebrate that we had such a great show. Only one, because I'm down to one and not two. But
There you
hey,
go.
you can go out there, give them a look. See, they do really have great bourbon and great whiskey and vodka and all kinds. The cordial's amazing that they have. But with that, with Veterans Mortgage powered by Canopy Mortgage, you can scan that QR code. If you're not using a VA benefit for your house, you probably should. Should look into that. They'll answer all the questions that you have. Interest rates will start coming down. Maybe you want to build a podcast booth in your house, or maybe you want to build a she shed or a she shed or he shed out back. Take out that little extra loan, or maybe you want to go on a vacation and come to Italy, come visit the mental health warrior. But hey, as I said, I love it here in Italy. But if you're still in the service, you get PCS. You got PCS Paradise there. Scan that QR code, and you won't have to find your dream home out in Hawaii. They're only in Hawaii, and just live your best life you can while you're stationed there. It doesn't matter where you're at in the military or where you're at in the world. You should always try to live your best life. As spring comes on, we know that spring is a hard time for mental health because you have things being reborn, you have things becoming anew, and if you're stuck in a rut, that kind of can be stressful for you. But hey, just like Lance says, take smaller steps, keep moving forward, and keep that progress going. Everybody have a great.
All right.
It popped up on me that the connection was lost, but hey, remember we are brothers and sisters keepers out there. Let's look out for each other. If somebody's gone quiet or just quiet, not like themselves, give them a call, give them a chat. We'll see you guys next week. Lance, hang on as we close out the show. I'll chat with you after. But everybody have a great week. Take care.
Absolutely.